Great, great. And then
hello, everyone. We will give a moment to let everyone get situated, and we'll be beginning shortly. All right. Okay, it looks like everyone has gotten into the meeting. Are you ladies ready to go?
yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Fairfax County Public Library this afternoon for our By Teens for Teens event with Shout Mouse Press, featuring some of the teen authors of The Day Tajon Got Shot. My name is Andrea Fernandez. I'm a youth services assistant at our Patrick Henry branch, and I will be facilitating today's event along with Letitia from our Herndon branch. Today's program will be recorded to be posted to the library's YouTube channel. So if you miss any of it or you have friends who'd like to see it, don't worry, they will be able to see it after the fact. We do ask that you please keep your microphones off throughout the program to avoid any interference. We'll notify you when it's time for audience participation. If you have any questions during the program, please submit them in the chat. We do have 3 featured speakers today, so you may want to pin them so they remain on your screen. We have Najee, we have Jayana, and we have Alexa from Shout Mouse Press. So you might want to make use of that Zoom pin button. The Day Tajon Got Shot was written by 10 teen authors from Beacon House in Washington, D.C. It's published by Shout Mouse Press, a nonprofit writing and publishing program with a mission to amplify unheard voices. So now, please welcome Alexa of Shout Mouse Press and authors Najee and Jayana.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea, for that wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone in this Zoom little room here, and then also in the world. Hello, hello. My name is Alexa Patrick, and I am the programs manager for Shout Mouse Press, which, just like Andrea said, is a nonprofit writing program and publishing house that is committed to amplifying underheard voices. So that is a fancy way to say that we work with young people of color, young people from marginalized and historically oppressed backgrounds, to help them write and publish books and put them out in the world. If you are interested in finding out a little bit more about us and staying in touch, I'm going to put our information in the chat. And then I'll also do that again at the end of the event. However, today we are gathered to hear from 2 very special authors of one of our books, The Day Tajon Got Shot. I am going to introduce one of them right now. So if you can all join me in welcoming Miss Jayana. Hey, Jayana.
Hi.
Hi.
Way.
Yes, hi, please, yeah, introduce yourself if you can. Also give us your pronouns, if you can tell us where you're from, where you're tuning in from, what school you go to. And then let's see, the question of the day today is, what is something that has brought you joy lately?
Okay. So I'm from Washington, D.C. Right now I'm in my room. I go to School Without Walls High School. I'm a senior, so I graduated this year. And my pronouns are she, her. And something that has brought me joy is like, I guess being able to be in my room and not having to go to school in person. I like going to school from home.
Nice. You're the few that people are like, yes, I love going to school from my home. So that's, I mean, a blessing for you. So great. Thank you. And so if you could also give us just a quick summary about of the Day Tajon Got Shot. What is this book about?
Okay. So The Day Tajon Got Shot is about police brutality. A teenage boy named Tajon got caught up in things that he probably shouldn't have, and it resulted in him being shot by a police officer. And then the rest of the book is just Tajon's community coming together to try to fight for him and try to get justice for him after he was wrongfully shot.
Wow, what a cool concept. That's so dope. And so what characters in the book did you author?
I wrote Kayla, who was Tajon's best friend.
Okay, dope. And so I think you have an excerpt that you prepared to read for us. Can you tell us a little bit about what is happening in the excerpt? And then I can screen share and I'll have you read.
Okay. So right now in the book, Tajon has just been shot, and everyone in the community has just been rioting together, trying to fight for Tajon, trying to get justice, and trying to bring out the police officer who shot him.
Mm,
And in this excerpt that I'm about to read, Kayla actually is about to join the fight and join the riots.
okay. All right. When you are ready.
I couldn't take it anymore. I'd been inside all day, just feeling sad and mad and hurt and terrible. People were yelling and breaking things on the streets, and this time I joined them. During the riot, I felt good. No, I felt wonderful. I felt like I could do this for the rest of my life. I was standing up for my race, I was standing up for my best friend, and I was letting out all of the anger that was building up inside of me by destroying everything in my path. Not caring about what it was, not caring about how it would affect others, not caring about anything or anybody else. I felt like this was a battle that only me and the officer were fighting. And at this moment, the officer was a store window. I didn't know which store he was, but he was all on fire and it was hard to see. For just that moment, I felt free.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I'm curious, with your character Kayla, what is it that you wanted the audience to take away from this character? What did you want them to learn?
I wanted them to learn that it is okay and it is okay to deal with the things that you are feeling in different ways as long as you bring yourself back and as long as you realize the correct way and the right way to process your emotions in a way that won't hurt everybody else. And like,
Mm,
yeah, you might make some mistakes at first, but as long as you learn from those mistakes and do better as you keep going, then it's okay.
great. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. And we're going to come back to you in a second. I want to move over to Najee. Najee, hello. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, I'm gonna ask you the same questions that I asked Jayana. First, we're gonna start with like introducing yourself, your name, your pronouns, what school you go to, and something that is bringing you joy right now.
Okay, so my name is Najee Purvis. I go to school without walls. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm still in high school, of course, and I'm in 12th grade. And one thing that has brought me joy during this time, I guess I get like more like self time, like, like being at home more. I get to like know myself more and just like more self care, I guess.
Yes, we love self-care. We love like taking the time to grow as an individual. Yes. Beautiful. And so what characters did you author with in this book?
Okay, so in this book, I was like the author of Bobby. He was like the thug in the book. Like he was the one that basically got Tajon in trouble in the first place. So I helped write him, and I wrote him, but I also helped write Tajon's father, Dwayne. Yeah.
Right. And so what some folks may not know is that, I mean, this book, again, it was authored by 10 different young people, right? And so there were times when they collaborated on different characters. There were times that they collaborated on different scenes. And so sometimes things overlap that way. Cool. So I'm going to have you read an excerpt, just like I had Jayana read an excerpt. Before I screen share, can you tell us a little bit about what is happening in the scene? Can you set it for us?
Okay, so the excerpt that I'm going to be reading is basically like the part in his life where everything turned upside down. It's like a little bit of backstory on him and like how he is the person he is now.
Great. Thank you. Just try and get to it. All right, go for it.
Okay. My life hadn't always been like this. There was a time when even people said I was a good kid. I used to get good grades and I didn't get in trouble that much because I knew I had a little sister looking up to me. My mother always told me that I had potential. But when my sister was 9 and I was 16, our mother died. I didn't want to talk about how, but at that point, we started a whole new life. Me and my sister had to go to foster care. I didn't want to stay there. It was just a place where people felt sympathy for you. I didn't want to feel like the sorry kid that I didn't want to feel like the sorry kid that everyone felt sad for. I wanted to be my own man and take care of myself.
Hmm.
One night, I just left on my own and didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my sister that I was leaving. I thought it was the only way. If I just left, she couldn't stop me. Deep down, I knew that if I didn't tell her, she would be hurt. But later, I regretted that decision. But at the time, I couldn't think straight. Once my mother was gone, parts of me were gone too. I didn't want to. I didn't want to take care of someone anymore. Gotta scroll down a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Powerful stuff. And so, with this character, the Bobby, the thug, and let's put the thug in quotation marks here, right? Which like it is in the book. What is this? What did you want to show the audience with this character, with this kind of archetype of like the thug Bobby?
So, with this character, I basically wanted to.
Oh, your Najee, your audio went out really quickly. Can you hear us? Oh no. She's still talking. She can hear us.
Their image because they do have something like that's probably going on in their life, the way they're acting.
Najee, can you hear us? Okay. We missed that. Something happened with your audio.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Can you say that all again? It looked like you were really into it, and whatever you said looked great. Could you say it again?
So I said, I want people to learn about
Uh-oh. We were just hearing you fine earlier.
I wonder if her microphone has a loose connection where it might be coming in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now?
We can hear you now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want people to know that like everyone has a backstory. No one is just good or bad. Everyone like has some type of story behind who they are. With Bobby, he's known as the thug, the bad guy, the person you should watch out for. But like as I read just now, like he had a backstory. He had a reason why he became the way he was, or like how he started acting a certain way based on like his previous traumas in his past life.
Yeah, what a really important message, right? A lot of times we tend to just like see someone and judge them or label them without thinking of, all their history, thinking about where they've been and, all of their different nuances. People are complicated. They're not just one thing. So that's a really, really important message there. So I have a few questions for you both. One, I just kind of want to, I want to talk about the context for this book, right? So you all started writing it in 2015. You all were in middle school, which is wild. Can you tell us a little bit about like what was happening in the world when you decided to write this book and why you all decided to tell this particular story?
I'll start. So, as you said, this was written in 2015, and I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2015, that was like the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement. There were a lot of protests about police brutality going on, and in particular, there was the protest in Baltimore. And then, like, we were just thinking about, okay, what do we want to write about? We want to write about something that's like important, something that will reach other people, not just children. So we decided that we would write our own spin on a police brutality case and how there are so many different sides of a story that come from a police brutality case. We wanted
Yeah,
to put that in a book.
great. Thank you. Najee, is there anything you want to add? It's okay if you don't want to. It's up to you.
Yeah, so like in particular, like we looked at cases like about Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, and Mike Brown, and like we took like the different cases and like we made it our own. And then like Diana was saying, like we wanted to get different perspectives. So like that's why we included not only like the victim, but like the people that like maybe started the violence, protesters, bystanders, and the police officers.
Yeah. And I want to go back to just the fact that like you all were in middle school when you wrote this book, and like what a practice also of just like empathy, just to uh be able to look at this event, this traumatic event, this terrible event, and be able to approach it from all these different perspectives. Was that difficult to do? What was that like?
For me, since my character was like a caricature of myself, it was
Mm,
kind of a little bit easier to write from my own perspective because you know it's like I've never felt what it was like to lose a best friend, but like I can still like kind of imagine what that feels like, and so I kind of use that imagination and try to portray all of those feelings in this book. But like for different people, like maybe not Jay, she probably was different because she wrote from different perspectives. So I'm gonna give this
yeah.
to her.
What about you, Najee? Was it hard?
Yeah, when writing my characters, it was a bit hard because I wrote two male characters and like they were grown, and about lives I'm not. So I pretty much had to like take like I guess like background based on like movies I watched or like stories I've heard and like try to incorporate that into what I wrote because I didn't know anything about anything really. So yeah, it was difficult, but then again, it was kind of fun. Like I mean, I chose to do two male characters, so.
Yeah, and I mean also that you were doing what like writers and artists do by collecting what you see in like either in your environment and by using your imagination and by watching TV shows and reading books like and being able to collect all that information and then create your own character. So, that's really a really great practice of just good artistry, right? So that's really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with me. And so um we're here today. It is 2021. We just had a very long 2020. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you think this book is important today, or how this book can be relevant and important today?
Well, this book is still important today because even though there's been so many protests and there's been so much fighting and trying to get like equality when it comes to the justice system, it still isn't happening and the battle still isn't over. So I feel like this book is still pretty prevalent, especially last year with Breonna Taylor being killed as well as George Floyd. It's just like this still is going on. Like the book was written like 6 years ago, which seems like a long time for me because I haven't been alive that long. But it's just like it's just really crazy that we're still going through the same things that we were going through 6 entire years ago. So I feel like that's why the book is still prevalent because it's still going on.
Yeah.
Adding on to what she said, yeah, definitely the book is definitely still prevalent too, based on like events that's going on, like not even just with like, you guys can hear me? Like
Mhm.
so this is not only with like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, but also like what happened with the Capitol situation. Like everything is still prevalent. And also like the fact that like we were young and we wrote the book and we were able to like talk on events. Like we're young, we're the future. So like I feel like young voices like being able to voice our opinion is very also prevalent.
Yeah. Do you think that let's see, how do I want to word this? Like, so well, why do you think it's important to then have, a book about police brutality for young people, right? Like, I think that there's something really special about having a book about police brutality written by young people, but it's also for young people too. Why do you think it's important that that is your audience?
I feel like young people sometimes feel as though they shouldn't have opinions about things that go on in this world because they feel like no one's going to listen to them and no one's going to take them seriously because of our age. But at the same time, we're people just like older people, and we can comprehend, we understand, we can see what's going on. we watch the news, we have social media. It's just so many things that we are exposed to. It just doesn't make sense for people to think that we're not going to be able to have something to say about it, or that we won't understand it enough to say something. So I feel like having this book and having the audience be people that are our age and younger, it just shows that it's possible to say what you have to say, and somebody's going to hear it, and somebody's going to listen to you, because what you have to say matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that.
And Najee, I'm going to start with you next because I always feel like you're like, yep, like, so I'll make sure to start with you for the next question. And maybe this, I could start with this. Najee, do you feel like when you were writing the book, that you yourself, like, you were witnessing what was happening in some capacity? What do you wish that, people would have told you or taught you at that time as a young person, who was taking in all this like new and really crazy information?
I mean, it kind of like goes back to the next question. I just feel like more people would have told like younger people that like your voice does matter. Like you have an opinion. Like I feel like I feel like nowadays, like adults are more accepting of like children, like in their voices. But like 6 years ago, I don't think it was like as prevalent. So like I just feel like 6 years ago, I was told like, oh, you can do what you put your mind to. You have an opinion, say it. If you feel like you can change something, like tell your ideas, like because if I had that mindset or like was told that younger, like who knows where I would be like like I would be probably like higher than like I was now.
Yeah. Jayana, what about you? What do you wish you would have known at the time that you were like writing this book at this young age, taking in this information about police brutality and violence against Black people? Like um, what do you wish someone would have told you?
Honestly,
Mhm.
wish someone would have told me that the book would get as big as it did. Maybe when I went to take my picture, it looked a little bit more decent, like, but it's okay. Also, I wish that we would have had like I wish we would have like met Kathy earlier, because we were at Beacon House for so long, just doing, I wouldn't say nothing, but like we were just chilling, hanging out, and I feel like we would have met Kathy earlier. We could have had so many projects that could have just sprung just like these did, because when you put us in the room together and we all just brainstorm together, we had so many good ideas from this book. And I feel like if we could do that, if we were able to do it earlier, we could have had more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think so. For those of you who don't know, Kathy is the executive director of Shout Mouse Press, and so she was one of the main kind of story coaches on this project. I wasn't on board yet at Shout Mouse Press, so this is when Shout Mouse Press is more of like a baby nonprofit. And so what I'm hearing, I guess, from both you and Najee, what I'm hearing is like you wish you had more space to create, more space to like collectively imagine and explore these difficult topics in a group with your peers, and also just like space to express yourself that isn't like kind of like stifled or attacked or imposed upon by like adults being like, oh, this isn't for kids. I don't know why that's my adult voice, considering I am an adult technically, but you know what I mean. Um, cool. So that's super important. And even Najee, I say this all the time. I think that like young people are often told that they are the future. And I'm always like, but aren't you also the present? Like you all are people who have so much influence on the culture, in the arts, in language too, with just like slang and how people talk, and like all the cool new things are coming from young people. And then on top of that, having like young people are also, especially young people of color, are often the ones who are victimized by police. So it's also there's just something so powerful about just having a space to collectively dream and collectively imagine what it could, um, what other worlds and other like avenues may look like for just young people. So I say all that to say, like, you all are super dope and super cool and like are doing the hard work. And yes, Gianna, I understand the like, what if we did this even sooner? And also the fact that you all did this 6 years ago and you're still having these conversations today and you're still being invited into all these different rooms. Like, there's something about that just feels right on time to me. And I'm excited to see where you're going to go because you have like so many years ahead of you to just like blow up and do the thing. So cool. That was very long-winded. I have other questions. I swear I'm going to shut up. So my next question is, what advice would you give to a young person? What a great transition. What advice would you give to a young person who believes that their voice doesn't matter, who believes that that's not the case, that they don't have the space to actually, imagine another world where this won't be happening? Let's start with Najee.
Okay, so advice I would give like younger kids or like people is definitely to just go for it. Like you have a voice, your voice matters. Go for it. It's your story. Tell it. If you feel like if you're not ready, I mean, do it at your own pace. But I'm telling you, you can do it now. We did it. You can do it. And that's all.
Great. Thank you.
I would also like to add that I understand like as a child there are a lot of adults that you feel as though have control over you just because maybe they take care of you or they're teaching you or whatever it is that they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's your life and it's your voice and it's your choice to do these things. Everybody might not always agree with the choices that you make, but if you believe that you're making these choices for the right reasons and that what you're saying is going to mean something to somebody else, then I feel like you should take that step because it's about you and with your mark on the world, not the people that brought you into this world, because it's your time to take the reins of your own life. So, as Najee said, just say it. Whatever you have to say, just say it or write it down. Whatever you have to do, just get it out because
Mm.
I'd rather have it out than keep it in.
Yes, I love that. I love that. You'd rather have it out than keep it in. Put it on a t-shirt. Oh, so good. So I'm curious, were there points in your lives that you felt like your voices didn't matter? Or were you always just like, listen, I'm here, get ready to learn something, mic drop? Like what what helps you kind of get to that point? Anyone can jump in.
I'll go first. Okay. For me, I've never been like really shy to not say something that I've been thinking because I feel as though if I keep it in my head, what good will that do? I'm just gonna be sitting here thinking about it, and it's just gonna be on my mind. Instead, I just think like you should just say it to free yourself because you're gonna be thinking about it and overthinking about it, and you're always gonna say, "Oh, I want to say this," but you never say it. So I always just think, just say it, and then whatever happens, happens because it's gonna happen anyway. So you might as well let it happen with your opinion out there.
Mm. What about you, Nashe?
Okay, with me, I definitely wasn't that type. I'm more so like the observant. I don't really say necessarily how I feel at first. Um, yeah, like not even just like with necessarily like I guess social issues, like just personally, I'm also like that. So I guess sometimes like I just learned like eventually that like sometimes you just need to say what you have to say because honestly it's your opinion, it's your mindset. No one can like really tell you like that you're wrong when it's like how you feel. So I guess like this book kind of like I guess it was like not necessarily like when I first start writing it is when like I had that spark of like start talking, but like I guess over the years, like it's been 6 years. So like I feel like without this book, I honestly probably would still be that person that don't really speak much. I keep my opinions to myself. But like with this book and like over the years, like having authors talks, talking to people of different ages and like get my point across, I've learned that like I have good ideas. People want to hear what I gotta say. And like I have a good mindset. So I shouldn't just sit back all the time. I should say it.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the blessings of just like having like of being able to give author talks is you are able to connect to people who have read the book, who have engaged with the book, and you get to witness impact, right? So it's like, you know, you actively get to see the impact of the words that you wrote as like a 12, 11-year-old. And so there is something that is, you know, that must be super, super validating about that. That again, like 6 years later, you all are, you know, in a whole bunch of different spaces, engaging with other young people, with educators, with professors, with college students. Like, you know, you've been able, you've gotten access to so many different spaces, and you've gotten to witness your book's impact on all these different people from a whole so many different backgrounds. So I'm sure that that like must feel super special. And so I hope that if there are any young people out there in the world right now or in this little Zoom room, that that can also be, you know, reaffirming to you all as well, that your voices have impact. And who knows the rooms that you can be in as you continue to wield those voices. I'm actually curious because I know that some of you all have your cameras off, which is fine. Zoom fatigue is real. But I'm curious if there are any young people in this room right now. Is there anyone in high school or in middle school, elementary school even? You can say in the chat. You can just be like, yeah. I'm just curious. Cool. Thank you for responding, Turner. Thank you, Scout. Anyone else? Cool. And so are either of you writers, artists, storytellers in some way? Do you all like to write or draw even? You can let me know in the chat again. Turner says I like math. Yes, Turner, we need people like you. We need those people. What about you, Scout? Do you write at all? Okay, cool. That's perfectly fine. Because my next question is, you know, for young people who may be interested in trying out writing, you know, because it can be unfamiliar, it can be weird, especially when we're in school and we're often taught to write in a certain way, or we're taught to write only about certain things, and so a lot of times writing can feel like this kind of daunting scholastic task. Um, but you know, what advice would you two give to a young person who's just like, I want to start writing, but I don't really know, like, what advice would you give to them?
I feel like the easiest way to get into writing is just having a journal and writing about your life. Because like you read fictional books and you read books written in first person where a person just writing about their life and how that just becomes a book. And it's just like you can do that as well. Like I kind of wish when I was younger I wrote about my life because then I could have that book and memories to look back at now. And it's just easy to write about your life and narrate your life through a text and then switch over to writing about maybe somebody else's life or writing about yourself in a different context because you've already practiced writing down all these events. Now you can just shift it over into whatever setting, whatever plot that you want it to be. You just have to add a beginning, middle, and end.
Beautiful, thank you. And you got some thumbs up happening in here. Great. What about you, Najee? And Najee is also a really, really beautiful poet. Just putting it out there, just letting y'all know. What about you, Najee?
Yeah, that's also what I was going to speak on. So with me personally, even though I do like poetry, like when I first started writing the book, I wasn't necessarily into writing. I also prefer math, surprisingly. But I like poetry though. So like I like creative writing. Like I like getting my ideas out through like poetry, like through rhythm and like having like creative ways to write. But like throughout the book, I've learned that like I can also put my like creative spin on a book, like just like I did with Bobby. Like he was supposed to be the thug. Everybody wanted me to just put hardcore stuff, but I was like, no. So I like put the backstory in it and made him like made sure he had like some type of creativeness to him, or like with everybody, like even Dwayne, like when I helped write Dwayne, I was like, yeah, we should add this, we should add this, we should add a flashback, like I just added my creativity and with writing. And like I guess that's how I got started basically. Like I guess like in school, like when like we would have to do like nonfiction like essays and stuff, like I used to dread them. But like when I learned that like you can add your like little, like you can add like background, like you add background, you can add like a creative spin to it, you can use imageries and similes, like that like made me want to like write more, because I learned to like put my own spin on it. It didn't have to be completely structured. Like I know how to like be creative but also with structure.
Yes, I love that. And you also got some affirmation happening in the chat saying that you really gave everyone depth and complexity. And I'm going to echo that, the your what you added to the characters, like that nuance is so important. And I would say necessary to have a successful character, right? To have someone who has many different sides to them, someone who isn't just one thing. uh, I was actually giving this example the other day when I was talking about character writing, about Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is so great at writing characters. And like, if you look at like a TV show like Scandal, like you have these like very sinister people, sinister characters, but she does a great job of showing like, okay, but this is why they're like that. This is them, like this is their reason, and it gets you as an audience member to be like, I understand that. Yeah, you definitely want to do that. Like you see the reasoning, and I think that Najee, you were adding a little your Shonda flair onto some of these characters, which is great. And then I also want to comment a little bit on what you were saying with poetry, and how you said that you weren't really into writing like that, but you wrote poetry. So it sounds like you were into writing. You were just writing in a specific way that maybe pushed up against, or rubbed up against like that, the way that you were taught writing should be, or yeah. Um, and so for the young people out in the audience right now, I want to encourage you and just let you know that there's so many different ways to storytell, that it doesn't have to be one size fits all. It's actually better if it's not one size fits all. You can put your flair in it. If you want to have rhythm, if you want to have, just some extra color in what you're saying, that is a good thing. You can storytell also through a whole bunch of different mediums. You can storytell through film, through photography. Stories can look like a whole bunch of different things, but what is important is, making sure that your voice is out there somehow. So I hope that this conversation can be inspiring for you all. Turner, maybe you can write something about math. You can write, I don't know, a beautiful sonnet about uh, you know, uh, I don't know, a parabola. Cool. So let's see. I guess the last question that I have for you all, and then we can open it up to the audience if anyone has any questions of their own. Um, what is the overall message that you want to make sure that your audience has, or takes away from this book?
My overall message would be that when you work together as a community, you can get things done, and your voice will be heard loud, not loud. I'm sorry. More than one voice can make your message louder to other people. You need people on your side, people that agree with you, And it doesn't have to be like the community of your neighborhood. It's just people who understand what you're saying and agree with you and want to help you extend your message to other people. When you do that, you can accomplish so many things. Like in the book, when the entire community got together to fight justice and figure out what happened to Tajon, they did that, and it was just like it wouldn't have happened if it was only one person or two people, because people will overlook that. You have to build up your um, but you just have to extend your message so that everybody can get to you.
Great. What about you, Najee?
Okay, so after reading the book, I would want the audience to like take from
Oh no, Najee, it's happening again. Uh-oh. Let's see, maybe try muting and unmuting again. It seemed to work the last time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I want the audience to know is that everyone has a background story. You shouldn't be so quick to judge others, and that you have a voice and that you need to speak it.
Yes, short and to the point. Perfect. And I think it's so cool, Jayana, too, that you mentioned community, from like within the book and how the characters in the book banded together to like, fight for justice. I would also argue that, you all as young people are a community that banded together to fight for justice in the collaboration and in the co-authoring of this book. So it's kind of cool how you all were mirroring what you were writing about and vice versa. And oh yeah, Gianna, go ahead.
I wanted to add that we wouldn't have been able to do it and get our point across and our opinion and our message without Shout Mouse. So we're really lucky to have had them, because if they were the ones who published our book, edited our book, and then distributed our book to the world. So I just feel like you guys were a key element in our community.
Thank you. And also we again, I think I said this earlier to the library folks when we were preparing for this, but like our main job is just kick back and watch you all shine. Like and in whatever way we can like steward your brilliance, like that's our job. But it's you all that's shining. So thank you for that. Cool. So it is 1:42. What I'd like to do is invite the audience to ask any questions that they may be holding about the writing process, about these authors in particular. Please, if you have any questions, ask away, ask away.
I haven't seen any questions come in yet, but I think that's partly because you all have done such a good job at covering everything. Oh, we do have one question now.
So we have you thought about writing anything else? What about you, Najee? Because I know that Najee is like, again, the poetess.
Yes, I wanted to write I wanted to write a book about myself, but sometimes when I write a long time, I may bore myself sometimes. So I decided I wanted to make a poetry book about my.
Oh no, Najee. Oh no. Uh-oh. We can't hear you, Najee.
Yeah, what's the last thing you guys heard?
You said that you wanted to write a poetry book about yourself.
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to make a poetry book about myself, and I've been working on it. But like during COVID, I kind of been slacking off. But hopefully, eventually, by the end of the year, it should be done. So
Yes. And we have to talk offline because that's what I do. It's like I wanna read your work. Let me show it to me. I want to see it. What about what about you, Jayana?
I feel like for me, Writing for me is more of a therapeutic process. So I use my journal to just process my thoughts. That's what I've been doing in the writing wise. I haven't been writing anything fictional or any poetry. Use I just write about my life to help me reflect on it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that too. I mean, because writing has so many different uses. Like you can write for yourself too. That is just as important and just as revolutionary, especially if it is, something that you need to get by that can, keep you sane during these times. Um, I just want to acknowledge one of the comments in the chat. Nancy says, I actually book talked Tajon to a group of adults this morning. One person was so impressed that you expressed the different points of view, especially of the police character. So just acknowledging that, yeah, it is definitely, oh, look at that. All the signatures there. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, what a feat to be able to look at this tragic event from so many different perspectives. Scout is asking in the chat, do you think you would have written this book if someone didn't push you?
Honestly, no. What we used to do, like, the process that we wrote this book is we used to go to Beacon House, which was our after school recreation center, and we just go there. Sometimes we just be in the neighborhood, we'd be in there on the computers, and then one day Ronnie had came to us and he was just like, someone's in the back and they want to meet us. The back room was like the education room, so where you did your homework and stuff. So he was like, someone wanted to meet us, so we was just like, okay. And it was a Friday afternoon, and so we were just like, okay. And so we went back and we met Kathleen, and she was just like, do you guys want to write a book? And it was like, we never really thought to sit down and write a book as a group. Like, I don't really think that we would have ever thought to do something like this if it hadn't been for them asking us if we wanted to do it and pushing us to get all ideas out there and organize how we wanted to structure the book and what do we want to say and who do we want the audience to be. So I don't think we would have written it without being pushed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wouldn't see myself just writing a book out of nowhere. Like, yeah, that, like, if you would ask me, like, back then on my own before here in Shout Mouse, I would be like, a book. And I think also that fact that, like, we were with other teenagers, so, like, I know, like, I had some friends that may have not, like, been as motivated, or, like, we kind of motivate each other, like, yeah, let's do this together. Like, having, like, other kids our age there also to write it with us, but also having people pushing us at the same time, it definitely what drove us to write it.
Great, thank you for that. um yeah, I don't know, like if I were in middle school, if I would, I mean, I think it's a testament to you all, to you both, for like, agreeing to participate in this project. Because again, like, yeah, in middle school, I would have been like, no, I'm just gonna like eat goldfish in front of the TV and I'm gonna be fine, thanks. you know. Um, so it's so great that you all, as young people, decided to participate in this, and it was such a success. Um, Yes, Nancy, this will be going on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll go over that at the end too, but probably within the week, the video will hopefully be up on our YouTube. But it's done by somebody other than myself, so I can't guarantee the date.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the authors about the book, about Shout Mouse?
I would like to ask a question that I don't think has been asked yet. Najee and Jayana, this is Terry, what was the most difficult part of the whole process?
I would say the most difficult part of it definitely would have been, like, because it's one book, 10 different minds. I would say the most difficult part was definitely putting our idea together. Like, we had a lot of ideas, good, but then at the same time bad, because we didn't necessarily agree on everything. So, trying to put the pieces together and make sure that everything aligned took a bit, but I mean, we eventually got it. But it was definitely difficult at first because we had some people that like were maybe more so opinionated than the others, or like more people that like felt like they had like minor characters or like major characters. But we like tried to make sure that like everyone was included, everyone had the same amount of like information and backstories, and that we had to make sure like the timeline also was aligned.
And was that the woman, Kathy, whom you mentioned, was she the person who sort of made sure that all the pieces um, fit together into a cohesive story? Because obviously somebody had to be sort of making sure that the flow was there. Was that mostly Kathy?
Yeah, we would it would every Friday at like 4, we would all meet in the room and and Kathy would be there to help us like brainstorm and kind of like it was Kathy's idea for us to do the timeline at the top of the book that goes on throughout the book. If you've read it, you can see like it was a Saturday and then Sunday. And it was like a way for us all to bring our stories together so that it wouldn't be confusing as you were reading the different characters' thoughts in their minds because everything was moving at the same time. But I feel like something that also made it difficult was that's that part also made it difficult because everyone's book and everyone's story was moving along the same timeline. We needed everyone's mind at all times because you can't, let's say there are two characters in a scene and they are interacting with each other. You can't have one of the characters say something about that and the other characters not, or not know anything about it, because then it wouldn't make sense as you were reading, it would clash. So it was just about making sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody was here to help write. And it was a long process, but I don't think I would trade it for anything else.
Well, thanks for those answers because being someone who likes to write myself, it's difficult writing just when it's your own self. When you're writing with 9 other people, that just has to be 10 times more difficult. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just like back in the like high school, middle school days when we had to do like a group project and like everyone was just like, "Ugh," you know. So yeah, it's really amazing. And then also, so it also wasn't just Kathy in that room. We also have a lot of different story coaches that kind of come in and work one-on-one with the young people just to make sure that like, they all feel supported. Because again, it would be really tough also to just have Kathy and then 10 young people making sure that they are following the kind of story arc, right? So I also just want to give a shout out to our story coaches in general, who are just super talented writers and thinkers themselves. So great. Anything else? Do you all want to talk maybe a little bit about the pictures that can be found in the book as well? I think that like the images in the book, and maybe I can pull some up right now, they also do a lot of work.
Um, so we took our most of the pictures in the book. We took our on our own. Um, we had this lady Lana. She came in and she had a whole bag of cameras for us, and they were like big professional cameras. And she told us that we could walk around the whole neighborhood, and we took pictures of things that we thought were relevant to the story. I am in the book a couple times. When I was younger, I didn't look the way I look now. I looked more like a boy. So I was kind of the model for Tajon in some of those pictures. And now that I look back at them, it's kind of funny because I don't look like that. But people, like kids, like when I show them the book, kids will come and be like, "Wait, that's you?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, that's me." You got to work with what you got. But it was just so fun to be able to look at the book and see how much of the book is came from us ourselves. Like it's just so, I don't know. I really just like looking at our work.
Yeah, and then also looking at maybe some of the pictures were taken at actual protests that were happening, right? So looking at this one here, and this is drawn by one of the authors here.
Yeah, in addition to like just the photography, we also did the artwork in it as well. So like I think I drew like about 3 pictures that's in the book as well. So like that was cool. Like not like just writing the book, we also had like creative pictures and images to like add to the book. Like you'll see like protest signs like somewhere in the book. Like we literally made them and like put them in the book. And also like the front of the book was inspired by like a picture we took with our hands up. So like just everything was kind of like creatively made. And like when I think one of the characters like wrote like a poster to Tajon when he was in the hospital, and like I had the opportunity to that was this one. I had the opportunity to draw that. So like I made like a poster for Tajon to like get well. And yeah, I showed some little artistic abilities.
Great. And then also your utilization of like social media. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Perfect timing. You see that? Wow. Um, yeah, like how were you able to do that? That's so cool.
I think we just wrote down the tweets and the username, and then we gave them over to Kathy and the editors. Like, did this for us because we wouldn't have known anything about like getting the tweets and putting them on there. So we just wrote down like what we think that people will write. It was fun making up different accounts and making up different comments, and then we just put them.
Wow. And it does such a great job of mirroring how information and how these movements also, I mean, work, especially today with social media and how information gets across, the uses of hashtags, like all these different things. That's so smart. Beautiful. Thank you for answering that question. Do we have any other questions? I know we're running out of time.
I think we've covered all the questions that have come in so far.
And can I just add that I want to congratulate these young women. I've been following you for a while, and the book itself. The book was lauded by School Library Journal, which many of you are familiar with, and it was an article about if you enjoyed, or if you found interesting The Hate You Give, that you would enjoy The Day Tajon Got Shot. And also kudos to Beacon House for providing the opportunity in the space. I see Kevin on there. And to Shout Mouse Press, which I think is just doing a tremendous job in the community and beyond the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then what I'd like to do really quickly is just also copy, again, other ways that you can stay in touch with us, get in touch with us and stay in touch with us. If you are interested in checking out our 44 other titles, if you are interested in requesting an author talk, all that information will be in these links, and then also our social media here. So please continue to stay up to date on what we are doing. We just released 5 books in 2020. So so check them out. And then otherwise, thank you so much, Jayana and Najee, for your minds, for your contribution, for your thoughtful answers. And then thank you so much to the Patrick Henry Library for having us.
You are welcome. We were so glad to make this work. This is a